Howdy, I am Ken, and to all air travel lovers, a very warm welcome to Marco Polo Club Flyer. While it's my leisure doing air travel reviews, it's also my pleasure sharing my air travel experience with you. And that's why I'm now in the Westin Toronto Airport Hotel, looking forward to relishing the air travel experience with Delta Airlines from Toronto to Honolulu via New York JFK early in the morning tomorrow. And in fact, the flight from New York to Honolulu is the second longest domestic flight in the United States. And this just makes me feel so excited because I can stay up in the air for over 11 hours. And what's even more exciting is that this would also be my first time trying Delta's Delta One product, which is their long-haul business class seat product. And to prepare myself for this flight, let me unwind a little bit for tonight, and let's meet tomorrow at the Toronto Pearson International Airport.
And without a need to wait, we are already here at YYZ. Why do major Canadian airport codes start with a Y? Holding a Delta One ticket, I am entitled to use the Sky Priority check-in desk, which from what I remember also required a wait. As mentioned, my journey starts from Toronto, so I will be featuring some clips of the domestic first class flight to JFK before jumping on board the Delta One flight.
First class cabin goes 1 to 4. First class goes 1 to 4.
A cup of apple juice was promptly served upon boarding. The one-to arranged first-class cabin does not have the fanciest seats, but they are still more than comfortable enough for a 1-hour flight. On this ultra-short flight, only packaged snacks were served. Yes, it was breakfast time, and I had chips while enjoying this beautiful sunrise. It wasn't long after when we began our descent into JFK.
It's our pleasure to welcome you to New York City, where the local time is 7:32 a.m. On behalf of Delta and this JFK-based crew, we've enjoyed having you on board and look forward to seeing you soon.
Upon arrival at New York JFK, I remember it was only 20 minutes before the scheduled boarding time of my flight to Honolulu, and to quickly kick off this Delta One experience, I made my way to the Delta Sky Club to have a sneak peek into the lounge. Unlike American and United, which both tier their lounges to differentiate long-haul business class guests from lounge pass holders, Delta only operates one lounge tier, and it welcomes all passengers with lounge access. This makes Delta Sky Clubs generally very crowded, but luckily that wasn't the case here in JFK today, where you can enjoy a magnificent apron view. On the day of my flight, this was the only Sky Club in JFK. With the closure of JFK Terminal 2 in January, Delta operates solely out of Terminal 4, and the airline will be opening a new Sky Club in the summer in Terminal 4 to host more passengers. Honestly, I didn't stay long in this lounge because I didn't have time, but I would say it's an okay lounge, better than lots of other lounges in smaller airports in the US, but also not very remarkable. After a lot of hassles, yes, I was in a true hurry, so please like and subscribe. Here I am at gate B26. Based on what I remember, this is my first time flying a Boeing 767, and yes, this jet is 32 years old. As we settle down in the air, let's explore the cabin on board this 32-year-old jet. Clearly, these aren't the newest Delta One seats that Delta markets, and these old jets would not receive any cabin upgrades before they retire. The Delta One cabin on the 767-300ER jet is arranged in a 1-to-1 layout with a total of 36 seats across 9 rows. I have never been a big fan of seating in the first row, but 1A was the only window seat left that is close to the window when I made my reservation. Let's take a closer look at the blue seat. Since I'm in the first row, the TV is mounted on the bulkhead, and you can enjoy the entertainment programs with this pair of nicely presented noise-cancelling headsets. The TV screen is super tiny by today's standards, but surprisingly, it's fairly responsive, and you can find a decent selection of Western movies on the system. Other parts of the seat are relatively standard, as you can see. What's lacking is room for storage. There are just 2 net pockets in which you could store some literature or small items. Therefore, I had to store my camera bag on the ottoman and my logbook on the floor. You don't need to look very closely to tell the age of this dated and maintenance-lacking seat. As suggested by the menu, welcome to Delta One, and let's set our taste buds free and dig into the Delta One culinary experience. Honestly, I was quite disappointed by the meal experience. I don't understand why Delta deliberately marketed this flight with Delta One service when in fact the dining experience looked very similar to that on a domestic first class flight, especially with the whole meal served in one tray. Without any mood lighting, the cabin crew simply switched off all the cabin lights after the meal service, and I was forced by one of them to close my window blinds. I decided to make my bed with one of the window blinds half opened. Previously, Delta partnered with Westin to provide heavenly bedding in business class, but this has now been replaced by more sustainable, but unbranded products. Slippers are provided alongside an amenity kit, but for some reason, they provided us with the Premium Select kits, which are those given out in Premium Economy, instead of normal Delta One ones. And after using my laptop for some time, I decided to get into bed. After a short 1-hour sleep, I headed to the lavatory for some business. It looks fairly standard, but I quite like the grown alchemist amenities provided. Visiting the galley mid-flight, you can find different packaged snacks and fruits for those who are packaged, as well as some beverages. I took some chips and chocolates, as well as a cherry tomato with mozzarella salad, enjoyed with a glass of vodka and cranberry juice cocktail. The cocktail tasted exactly like medicine syrup, and I didn't like it at all. Just an interesting fact, the crew who made the cocktail was a Hong Konger who migrated to the US when she was 16. It was cute that we could chat in Cantonese on board. It was at this point when we reached San Francisco, and from this point on, we would be flying out from the US West Coast towards Honolulu, and it was also at this time when I decided to sleep a little bit more. And now, it's time to test out the light meal before arrival with our taste buds. As we begin our turbulence-struck descent into Honolulu, it's time to summarize the flight. Probably I can start off with commenting on the cabin. Honestly, this cabin is obviously a huge upgrade over the recliners you get on domestic first-class flights, but also without a doubt, it looks really old, and the seats lack any privacy. Probably due to the narrower cabin size on the 767s, the seats are actually a little bit cramped, and therefore it is not a seat that I would fancy trying again. The bed was also a bit too hard for me, and I guess it would have been better if a mattress had been provided. Moving on, I have mixed feelings towards the service on this flight. On one hand, some of the crew have been really nice throughout the flight, such as the Cantonese-speaking crew member and the flight steward serving me most of the time on the flight. However, on the other hand, the service delivered by some other crew was relatively cold. I still remember how I was ordered by one of the crew members to close my window shades after the meal service. I mean, this is a day flight, and I personally prefer the window shades up. I understand that the crew wanted the passengers to be sleeping, but I felt uncomfortable the way I was ordered by the crew. Finally, on the meal, I'm also genuinely disappointed. Come on, the flight was 11 hours long. With this flight time, you can fly from Europe to Asia. I therefore think it's normal to expect a course-by-course fine dining experience from a bigger menu. But the menu today was very limited, and everything was served in one tray. To be fair to Delta, the way the food was presented was better than how United or American does it, and so was the taste of the food. But I would have better enjoyed the flight if there had been more food options and course-by-course food delivery. Bottom line, the flight was definitely just a mediocre one in my opinion. But trying to think positively, I am learning more about and am closer to embracing American hospitality.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Honolulu. I've been welcomed by the green and thank you very much. For your future, follow the
Thank you for relishing the air travel experience with me today. May I invite you to join me in savoring our next journey.